This video here is for graphing in standard form for a quadratic. First thing you need to know what a standard form is, and so a standard form is, there we go, if I can get my pen to write. Let's try that again. Standard form is y equals a plus bx plus c. So this is the standard form of a quadratic. Now first off, a quadratic is something that has degree 2. It's a polynomial, and it has the highest exponent is 2. Alright, it's quadratic. And so the other word that it's a quadratic. And so a quadratic is going to be a u when we graph it. So this is different than all the other ones we've done. We've done linear functions, which are, when you graph them, they're straight lines. You've also seen exponentials. When you graph them, they look like an L almost, either growing or decaying. So the quadratic is a little bit different. It's going to look like a U when you graph it, either upside down or regular. So, and there's things we need to know about the U. The U, again, is called a parabola. And the parabola, the lowest point of the parabola, this is a pretty poorly drawn, but the lowest point here is called the vertex. Alright, so that is a vertex. See, the lowest or the highest point down, then it is the top. Okay, so that's the vertex up on the top. So the vertex is the lowest, highest point, but it's the line of reflection and where it starts to reflect. So this line of reflection that goes around, that's called the axis of symmetry. I'm going to abbreviate that, so it's symmetry. Now we need to get all these important points as we're going to graph this, so we can graph it. We're going to make a table, like always, when we make a table for an exponential or linear. So we're going to make a table here. So here's the steps. So we find the vertex. That's the first thing. And to find the vertex, there's something that's going to be negative b over twice a. And that's going to be the x value of the vertex. And that's very important for us. And so once we find that, we're going to make a table with those x values. And it's going to be centered around this number here, so wherever the number is, and it's going to be the middle. So if the vertex is at 1, then we're going to have a table that it'll be centered on. And then we evaluate, means we put these numbers in, and then we plot the points. Now make sure that it is a U. It's a parabola, either up or down. Okay, so we know some things about a graph just based upon the equation a little bit, but we're going to just go through this here. Let's make an equation. So y equals, and we're going to go 2 x squared plus 8x minus 5. And so this graph, it's a quadratic. We know that because it's a degree 2. It's a degree 2 polynomial. We'll know that this thing is opening up because this right here, it's opening up because that is a positive number. If it's positive, then it's opening up. So when we graph this, we know this information, so our graph better look like a parabola that's opening up. If we didn't, then we definitely have erred. So the first step was to find the vertex. So negative b. So b is 8 and a is 2. And I got those from here. Now negative b over 2a, negative b over twice a. So negative 8 over twice 2. 2 times 2. So that makes us negative 8 over 4, which yields us negative 2. So negative 2 is our middle. So make a table, x, y. So negative 2 is my middle of the table. So I'm going to go up and down 2. So if I go up 2, I'm going to get to 0. If I go down 2, I'm going to go down to negative 4. Now, the one thing that's really cool about this is when I plug this number in and this number in, if I've chosen to go up and down symmetrically, they will be the same number. Assuming that they are going up by the equal amounts, they will be the same because the symmetry. If we've chosen this vertex to be the middle, then it'll be symmetrical. Alright, so our equation was y equals 2x squared plus 8x, I believe it was minus 5. Yep, minus 5. So 2 parentheses 0 squared plus 8 times 0 minus 5. And if I type that into a calculator, now hopefully you can figure out that 0 squared is 0, and then I'm just getting negative 5. But you can type it in just like that. Make sure that there are parentheses there. If you do not put parentheses, when you're typing in a negative number, you will get an error, or not an error, but you get the wrong answer. This guy is negative 5 also, because they're the same number because of symmetry. And if I type in 2 and negative 4 squared plus 8 times negative 4 and minus 5, that is the same number. Now if I plug in negative 1, if I do that, go 2 negative 1 squared plus 8 times negative 1 minus 5. This number here is going to become 2. This is going to become minus 8. This is going to become minus 5. So if I do that, that's negative 11. That's negative 11. Now, if I do it one more time, and the reason why I put them in both spots, again, because they are the same numbers. So this symmetry that exists there. Now the middle guy is different. If I plug in negative 2, square that, and again, for many of you, typing this in the calculator is essential. Maybe you did this in your head, but negative 2 squared is 4. That's 4. So this is 8 then, because 4 times 2 is 8. Minus 16 minus 5. So this is negative 13. So negative 13. Oops, 13. So now we got to go ahead and plot these points. Let's go to the next page. Alright, so here we are. I'm going to draw my nice grid here, just perfect, right? And so my line of symmetry is at negative 2. Let's erase that guy. Okay, let's try this again. There you go. So negative 2, which is right here. So I've got a dot that I'm going to go through here. Dot, 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 dot. Okay, that's x equals negative 2. That is, again, called a line of symmetry. And at negative 2, negative 13 is this point. So I'm going to go, I don't want to go by ones here because negative 13 is way down there, but I'm going to go by negative 2 here. It's negative 4, negative 6, negative 8, negative 10, negative 12, and negative 14. So 2, negative 13, let's make this a different color. It's right there. Let's make it blue. And then I've got negative 1, negative 11, which is right here, and negative 3, negative 11, which is right here, because again, this is negative 10, and this is negative 12. And then I have 0, negative 5. And I have this one here. So if I plot these points, I will get a nice parabola. And again, it all started, if you go back to your notes, it all started with finding the vertex. And again, you find the vertex with negative b over 2a. And you make this table, you go up and down 2. So I went to negative 1, and then 0, and then went down by 1. And when I plug in 0, this outside number and this outside number will be the same because of the symmetry, right? Because it makes a nice symmetrical U. And the reason why that happens is because when you square negative, it ends up being positive. So it ends up happening like that. And so that's how it all works. So this is graphing a quadratic. Okay, so a quadratic in a nice standard form. And it, again, is a very simple task. It just takes a little bit longer than the linear one, a little bit longer than the exponential. But it does work, and it does work quite well. So let's try one more. It's negative x squared plus 2x plus 5. So a in this case is negative 1, and b is 2. So negative b over 2a, that's negative 2 over 2 times negative 1, which is negative 2 divided by negative 2, which is 1. So we have a middle of our table, which is 1. And then I'm going to go up and down. Now it doesn't matter which direction I went. So again, I'm plugging these numbers in to this guy here. So it's negative of the negative 1 squared. So do it just like it is. You can't ignore negative signs. Type it in just as it is. If you type this in your calculator with parentheses, you should get the correct answer. There should be no doubt about this. That you should get, I believe this is 2 here, because you get negative 1 minus 2 plus 5. So yeah, 2. So there we go. Let's try that again. So that's 2. Now if I plug in 0, same thing. I get negative 1 outside, 0 squared, 2 times 0 plus 5. 5. If I type that in, I get 5. If I do 1, and so if you do this, you're going to get 6. Now, when we plot these points, it better be an opening down graph. The reason why I know that is because it's a negative leading coefficient. The leading coefficient on this problem is -1. So since it's negative, we know that our graph is going to be an opening down graph. So let's go ahead and plot this on our table. All right, here we go. Oops, the wrong one. Okay. So for our table, it's -1, 2. So -1, 2, -1, 2. At 0, it is 5. So it's right here. At 1, it is 6. And by the way, this is the line of symmetry going through this 1, because it's just the x value. If I go and plot the other points, they're going to be symmetrical. And it's a nice parabola. And there it goes. That's all it is. It doesn't take that long when you actually do this. All right, enjoy.